Hello students and welcome to Legacy IAS. So recently what has happened is Mr. Mark Morbis, who is the chairman of Emerging Opportunities Investment Fund, has come out in an interview and said that India is going to outperform China in the next year, in the next 12 to 18 months actually. Now we are here to discuss how is that possible. How is that going to happen is what we will discuss. Now, why are we discussing it? Because every now and then some or the other chairman, CEO may come and say it. So should we take it with a pinch of salt? Not exactly in this case, because this guy has not just said that, but has also come forward to say that he has invested heavily in India. So he's not just speaking it, he is also doing it practically. His organization and he himself personally, in fact, has a lot of money invested in India. So definitely this statement does hold water. So let us understand, how is that possible? The big question in front of us is, how is it possible? So there are various reasons that we are going to discuss. Some of the reasons is related to India, how we are doing, what we are doing, what our government is doing, right? What attracts other countries to invest in us, etc., etc. Some of the reasons will be with respect to China, because see, if Mr. Morbis has said that India is going to outperform China, there are two ways to do it. There are two things which will be required to achieve this. One is India doing exceptionally well. The other thing is also China probably not doing well. So let us see what the reality is. So first things first, India is spending big on infrastructure. Not just now and not just in the future. India has been doing that since about a decade. In fact, so much so that if you look at it, in the last 7-8 years, India's total expenditure on infrastructure has tripled. So if you see this graph, you can see in 2016-17, sorry, we had less than 3 trillion amount, that was 3 trillion rupees that was per year being invested in infrastructure. And if you look at now, this is the final budgeted estimate. It is an estimate. The actual will come next year, but the estimate is also a good figure. Okay, so the estimate gives a value of 11.1 trillion rupees, which is more than 3 times of the expenditure in 16-17. So we have consistently, this is how the graph looks like quite an exponential increase is there. So this investment that we have done is starting to reap benefit. Why? Because see, investment in the infrastructure project is a capital investment. Why? Because it creates an asset. Creating an asset means what? It is going to generate revenue for you, and now it is starting to generate revenue. That's point number one. And this spending is not going to stop here. It is going to further continue. Per year now in India, 11.1 trillion rupees is being invested, and this is only the central government's amount. If you include the states specifically, how much they are spending, it goes close to 20 trillion rupees. I hope that's absolutely clear. Now, second, the Monetary Policy Committee decisions. Now, what about their decisions? What they have done is that in their monetary policy review meeting, they have kept the repo rate unchanged for 11th consecutive monetary policy. For 11th consecutive time, in fact. 11 consecutive time means the monetary policy review happens every 3 months. So 4 meetings means 1 year. So it has been close to 3 years now. Another meeting and it will be exactly 3 years. So since almost 3 years, the repo rate has remained unchanged. How does it help? See, they have not increased the repo rate. If they would have increased the repo rate, what would have happened? The interest rate of the banks would have gone up. So it would have become costlier for us to borrow fund. Costlier to borrow fund means costlier to invest money. Costlier to invest money means less growth in business, less new business, etc., etc. But they have kept it unchanged. Even though the inflation has been to an extent high, still it has been unchanged. Because what happens generally when the inflation is high, the government would want to suck the money from the market. One way to suck the money from the market is to increase the repo rate, but the government has, the RBI or the MPC, Monetary Policy Committee, has not done it. So still it is quite attractive to take loan and invest in India, right? At the same time, in the very recent, just recently concluded Monetary Policy Committee meeting, they have reduced the cash reserve ratio by 50 basis point. What is 50 basis point? 50 basis point means by 0.5%. So it was earlier 4.5%. Now it has been reduced to only 4%. What is cash reserve ratio? Cash reserve ratio is the amount of cash that the scheduled commercial banks have to keep with the RBI, okay, in the form of cash. So since this is the amount that the scheduled commercial banks are required to keep with the RBI, what happens is, because of this requirement, the amount the bank has with itself reduces. So the amount of loan it can give to us reduces. So less money in the market. So growth may slow down. But what the RBI Monetary Policy Committee has done, it has reduced that requirement. So I'll give you an example. If earlier the bank used to have 100 rupees to give loans, they have to keep 4.5 rupees as CRR. So what will happen is they would have had only 95.5 rupees to give as loans. Correct? Now, since the CRR has been reduced to just 4 rupees, now what will happen? They can give up to 96 rupees as loan. So now more amount of loan can be given out by the banks. More amount of loan means more amount of money in the market, means more amount of investment, more amount of growth. So this is another factor why his statement holds water. Now it doesn't end here. It gets even more interesting. Now let's look at it. India's workforce offsetting Chinese workforce. Why this is happening? See, China had come up previously with a one-child policy, that only one child per parent has to be there to control population. But because of that, what happened? China started aging. Aging, why? Because the number of children born are less. So young population is less and the age expectancy is high, average life expectancy is high. So you have high amount of old people. China is an older country with respect to the average age of a Chinese citizen as compared to the average age of an Indian citizen. India is a young country. So what is happening in China? A lot of people are now retiring, are now going above the working age, and a huge amount of young population is not coming up due to their one child policy, which now they have taken it out, but it has still showing some impact, right? So what is happening? Chinese labor needs replacement because people are getting retired. Now the best country to replace Chinese labor is India. Why? Because of huge population, point number one. Not just that, because of this population specifically is in the working age group. We are very young population. And number three, the efforts of the government to skill the population. Okay. Now, why skilling the population is required? Please understand, population alone is an issue. But in this population, when you add education plus skill development plus maintain their health, then this population does not remain population, it gets converted into human resource. And India is doing exactly that. With huge amount of population, we are educating our youth, we are educating our nation, we are doing skill development. Remember Skill India mission, where 50 million people have to be skilled, that is going on continuously. Healthcare facilities, Ayushman Bharat, all these things are ensuring that our population gets converted into human resource, and we are the country that is best placed to replace these Chinese labor with Indian labor. So again, China's growth is going to slow down and India's growth is going to pick up. I hope that is clear. Then this is nothing but the statement of this graph only, but let me just give you a brief about this graph. If you look at India, India's average age is somewhere here, 30 point something. The recent data exactly will give you 33 years. So an average Indian citizen is presently, as we speak, is of 33 years old, 33 years of age. An average Chinese, so here it was around, I think 40, close to 40. So it is over 40. An average Chinese is over 40 years old. That is one thing. The other thing, if you look at, this is a population pyramid. If you look at population pyramid, look at China. China, the young age population between 0 to 20, which is going to be the future, or even between 20 and above. What is happening? This is so low. 5%, 5%, 5%, 5%. And here you have 8, 8, 9, 9, 8, so on and so forth. And if you look at the population which is elderly, above 60, you have 5, 6, 4%, whereas for India it is just 1, 2, and 3%. So elderly population is less, young population, working age population is more, as a result of which India is best suited to replace the Chinese workforce. Of course, also because we have a huge population of 143 crore people, out of it, a lot of are involved in the working age group. Now, the other thing is, India, since 1991, we started liberalizing our economy. That process has not stopped. It is continuing. It is furthering, in fact. And because of that, India has now become a beautiful, attractive destination for foreign investment and different kinds of deals that are being struck. Why? Not just because of ease of doing business, that is liberalization, but of course also because of the huge demand that is there. For example, Apple has set up its manufacturing facility. Now, when Apple sets up its manufacturing facility, it also is getting an automatic, readily available market. It does not have to, transport this particular product to some other country via some other country. They will manufacture. When the quantum is too high, it will go outside also. But huge amount of it will be consumed in India itself. So India, why are people getting attracted to India? Because we are a huge market. That is our power. That is our potential. Basically, we have converted the population, which was earlier seen as a problem, into an opportunity, right? So what has happened? Investment has increased. Different aircraft companies like Boeing, etc., are manufacturing aircraft for Indigo and other airlines of India. That is happening. That development is happening. Also, this is very much possible because new airport projects are coming. Around 15 projects were inaugurated by the Honorable Prime Minister very recently. At the same time, Mumbai airport is there. Now just 30 kilometers away in Navi Mumbai, another airport is coming. So all that development is happening, as a result of which these deals are getting striked. Strike means getting done. And since it is getting done, what will happen to the price of the shares of the companies in India? It is going to go up, right? And hence our performance is going to go up, of course. Now coming on to the other thing, tech giants like Apple, they are scaling up their production, establishing their manufacturing units in India. So what used to happen, if, till now, in fact, till now also, if any one of you has an iPhone or you can get hold of it, you just turn and see it is written manufactured in China, right? The days are not far away when you pick up an iPhone and it will be written manufactured in India. In fact, that has already started. Maybe the amount, of course, is not now less, but going forward, you will turn the Apple iPhone and you will realize it is manufactured in India, because they are setting up manufacturing units. Not just that, they are scaling it up as well. Okay. Then coming on to, so this was basically India's part, is what we have understood. There is a part from China also. The China's miracle phase. Miracle phases since 1970, after 1970, for the few decades, China grew rapidly. So rapidly that their average growth rate is around 10%. I'm not saying the highest growth rate. I'm talking about the average growth rate, which is 10%. So it is a Herculean task. Herculean task, but probably not ethical. Why I'm saying that is because this is not a democratic country like India. We are democratic. We have to develop and remain democratic, and with the democratic principles is how we are developing. That does not happen in China. There is no democracy. We all know it, no matter how much they argue that it is there on paper, but practically there is no democracy there, and there is a very authoritarian rule. It is like, if this developmental road has to pass through here, no matter whose house are there, they will just get a notice that tomorrow get out of it. If they don't get, bulldozer will anyhow go and do the work. That is how it works. But here we take care of all the citizens that are present as well, right? So this is one thing on which, just trying to tell a point with respect to the fact that this 10% of growth was built by, by this method, by a very authoritarian method. But fine, we cannot say or give those kind of things excuses. But the other point here is, this miracle phase of China has now ended. Now China's growth rate is not this, of course, right? Now some of the reason of this is, many countries who had money invested in China now want to diversify it. Now, why would they want to diversify? Again, coming back to the point of the authoritarian regime. What China does is, China is not stable. With China, you cannot be certain. It can take any unstable, any uncertain, any decision anytime. For example, as we speak, recently China has banned the export of rare earth minerals to USA. It has banned the export of rare earth minerals to USA. So now all of a sudden USA will not be getting the rare earth minerals. So USA may have to search for other countries to get it, right? So that's a problem for USA. So going forward, what will USA try to do? USA will try to take less rare earth minerals from China. Whenever it now starts again, it will start taking less. Why? Because China is very uncertain. Anytime it stops, right? So every country like this, like USA and other countries, want to diversify. So if some country had around, let's say, 80% of investment in a particular field in China, they would want to reduce it to, let's say, 50%, and the 30% which they have reduced may go to other countries, and India is one such attractive country, right? So they are the reason of their own demise or downfall. The rare earth minerals like gallium, germanium and antimony is what they have now banned. The export of it is banned to USA. Okay, so this is one reason again why the miracle year is over, and Western businesses, they are of course looking to diversify. That is why they are seeing elsewhere to other countries, and India is the best possible destination. With India, you have certainty that, boss, this country will stick to its words and do what is required to do and will be ethical. That is a huge point in business. You know, China's unethical things, if you see, China has given loan to Sri Lanka, but on what basis? Like a mortgage loan for their Hambantota and other port. So if you don't repay the loan, the port is mine. So what is that? That is nothing but a form of modern colonialism which China does, which India does not, right? So Chinese may invest a huge amount of money, but with India, along with the money, the ethical nature is which keeps us more attractive option than China. And ultimately, the big countries like USA are also, of course, realizing that. And the last point we can discuss is, of course, one thing which favors us is the base effect. Base effect means what? Base effect means if the base is small, then slight increase in that base will lead to a higher percentage increase. I hope you understood. So if my salary is 10,000 rupees and it gets increased by just 1,000 rupees, that means how much increase it is? 10% of increase, right? Just 1,000 increase gives me a 10% increase. But if my salary would have been 1 lakh rupees and I say it has been increased by 1,000, how much percentage increase it would have been? Just 1% increase. So this is the base effect. An extremely low situation will ensure that a slight increase also will lead to a huge percentage increase. And that is the case because India's GDP is less than $4 trillion even now. Chinese GDP is 4 or 5 times more than India. So China has to develop or grow at a very high pace to match India's pace, whereas a slight increase in India's growth will also have a higher percentage result. I hope that is also clear, right? So these are the very clear-cut indications which showcase us that India is about to grow way faster than China, and as the points which were marked out by Mr. Morbis, that in the coming 12 to 18 months, we will be growing at 20% rate. The market, in fact, he was talking about majorly the market, and we will outpace China as well. So it is not a difficult ask, and it looks highly likely to happen. All right. So this particular thing is going to be very important for your essays, for your mains examination. These things you should know, the reasons you should know, base effect, the concept of base effect you should understand for your prelims. And that's about it from us. We'll come up with such more videos. So keep watching Legacy IAS Academy's YouTube channel. Thank you.